So I wanted to talk to you guys about fear really quickly. Let me tell you guys something. I'm scared all the time. And I mean like all the time. And when I say that, I'm not like always quaking in my boots kind of scared. You know what I mean? I'm just like conscious of the danger of what I'm doing, and also I think I have a pretty like natural fear of failure that I have learned over years to overcome. You know, I can supersede my fear of failure, and I can even supersede my fear of injury. And I've been injured, but I can do that because I have something that I want, and something I feel like I need to do and need to accomplish. And that's actually why I'm sitting over here in this corner of our this is where we make all of our clothes and stuff. Like, this is where we press all of the clothes in this bin right here underneath, like right here. We have all of the DTF sheets and everything that we put onto the shirts, so that we can put our logos and designs on the shirts. So, you know, I'm over here in this corner because of this guy right here, Black Panther. One of my greatest inspirations in life in general. But this comic is one of my prized possessions. It's Black Panther, Man Without Fear. It's a short stint where T'Challa took over as Daredevil, essentially, in Hell's Kitchen when Matt Murdock was incapable of being Daredevil. It was a promise that they made to each other that Daredevil, if Daredevil were ever taken out of the picture or out of the picture for any reason, T'Challa, Black Panther, would take up the mantle as the protector of Hell's Kitchen. So yeah, it's one of my favorite comic series in general. But it's definitely, I think it's my favorite Black Panther story. In this comic, T'Challa doesn't have his powers. He is just a person, essentially, in the comic, but he overcomes his loss of the Black Panther powers through his sheer ability and knowledge, and, you know, his battle IQ, and his massive prowess in so many different areas, like of acrobatics, parkour, martial arts, detective work, all that good stuff, right? He even fights Kraven in this comic, which is sick. And Kraven is not depowered in this comic when Black Panther fights him. So yeah, really cool, really interesting, very inspiring for me. It's an overcoming the odds with work and dedication type story, but in T'Challa's case, the work and dedication had already come years before. So I say all that to say that he is the man without fear. Now, if you read the comic, he's not the man without fear. Like, he has fear and expresses fear in the comic book, but he feels the need, because obviously he has an obligation as a protector, to overcome that fear. You know what I mean? And that's just beautiful and inspiring to me, and I use it all the time to overcome the fears that I have about the challenges that I pursue. I use it to overcome the fears, anxieties, and insecurities that I have when I'm trying to just practice my sport, practice my craft of parkour. I also use that as kind of I almost put it on as a mask when it comes to dealing with the fear and anxiety that I have doing the type of parkour that I do in public. Very specifically, as a Black man, it's scary to do parkour in the United States, not just because parkour itself is scary, but because of how the general public perceives it. You know, it's always associated with criminality, especially when your skin is dark like mine. And that's just an unfortunate reality that I was born into. You know, better than it once was, still a problem today. But I use that as a mask a lot of the time. I use my inspiration from these characters, like Black Panther, as a mask to make myself feel, you know, confident and capable to overcome those fears. And the fear truly makes me human. Whatever fear you might have, if you imagine yourself doing what I do, if you've seen any of my clips and you imagine yourself doing what I do, whatever fear you feel, I feel it. I've felt it. But the difference is that I trained relentlessly, and I trained at the highest level that I could achieve at the time. That's the goal. That's the idea. I trained at the highest level that I could achieve at the time. So if you've seen my I-beam climb, or if you've seen any of my other clips, that is not where I started. I did not start training at those challenges. I started training at challenges that I was capable of approaching first. And I kept doing them, and I kept approaching them. I am not the kind of person to complete a challenge one time. Even the I-beam climb, I've done more than 25 times. The time that most of you have seen me do it is probably the 20th time I did it. You know what I mean? And I kept trying to do it after that, but none of them were faster than that one. A year or so before that was the first time that I tried that one. And you'll actually see that as one of the final climbs in my film Trials Morales. You'll see a much slower, much less capable Daryl doing that same I-beam climb. But that's where I was at the time. That was as good as I could get it at the time. And I kept training. I kept conditioning. I kept lifting weights and getting stronger at pulling my weight, getting more endurance so that I could maintain a speed from bottom to the top. I kept training. I kept working at it. I kept doing that. And I still felt the fear. I still experienced the fear. The fear did not go away. Even when I was doing it, it didn't go away. What came as a competitor to the fear was a confidence in my ability, a confidence in my training. You know what I mean? Like that's it. A confidence in my experience was the greatest combatant for that fear and those insecurities and that anxiety that I had in approaching that specific challenge and all of the other challenges that I approach. It's the same every single time. I do have to put myself in a position where I am taking a little bit of a risk, and some risks are great and some risks are small, but they all feel just as insurmountable in my head regardless, and I have to rely on my experience, and I have to rely on the knowledge that I've gained from all of my practice. And I have to rely on the truth that I have trained and prepared for these challenges and these moments. And that is the reason why I can do what I can do. So for the people that don't understand it, for the people that don't understand like how I got here, this is not just natural ability. This is not just I'm some freak athlete and like I have this crazy mentality. I don't have a death wish. I don't have any of that. I'm not fearless. I am not fearless. I am not without hesitation. I am not without faults. Like I'm not perfect. I just train hard all the time. I think about this all day. All those challenges that you see me do, I think about them all day. I process them all day. I plan. If you know anything about this guy, you know that he plans. He plans. You also know that he fails and he learns from his failures, and then he trains and he works tirelessly to overcome the shortcomings that led to those failures. And he only learns that because of experiencing those failures. And I have experienced countless failures. I expressed this already. I've been injured multiple times doing this. And, that might put you off. That might make you want to give up on a thing like this, but it didn't make me want to give up on a thing like this. It just made it harder for me to continue to pursue what I was trying to accomplish with this. And so what? For me, this is what I want to do. This is my life. This is like I have to breathe air every day. I have to look myself in the mirror every single day, and live with the person that I've chosen to be. And I couldn't live with myself if I chose to be a different person, if I chose to be the person that walks away because of the injury, because of the failures, because of what people think and what people say. Like, I just wouldn't be the person that I envision, I wouldn't be the version of myself that I believe I want to be if I walked away because of those challenges, because of those difficulties. So I don't. And I keep going and I keep training and like, regardless of what anybody thinks or what anybody says, I just keep doing this for me, and for whoever it inspires, whoever it can motivate and it can help. I am a human being. I'm a human being. I am just like everybody else when it comes to, my weaknesses and all of that. The only difference between me and, anybody else who might wish that they could do what I'm doing is maybe the time. I started when I was 12, but I taught myself everything I know. I didn't have coaches. I didn't have a program. I didn't have, for a long time, I didn't even have a gym to train in, and I had no knowledge, and I had to learn all of that stuff. It was just the sheer will to pursue something that was unreal. I wanted to be these characters. Like, I wanted to be Black Panther. I wanted to be Spider-Man. I got a Daredevil poster right over there, and I wanted to be just like him. I want to be Batman. I want to be these characters, and all I knew is that I had this time and whatever I could possibly do to become that. And I just never quit. I was bad at this, and I mean bad in the bad way. I was bad at this for a long time. I was not special at this for a long time. I got made fun of a lot for a long time. And I was scared the whole time, and the whole time experiencing that fear and those anxieties, I questioned if I could even do this, if I could ever achieve my goals or my dreams or anything like that. Like, I questioned it all the time. I wasn't always confident, and I wasn't always certain that it would work. All I knew was that I wanted to do it. All I knew was that I wanted to accomplish it. Like, I needed to be these characters in real life. I needed to be able to move like them. And a lot of doing that, a lot of trying to accomplish and achieve that meant that I had to adopt the mentality. And that's what I think is the beauty of many of these stories and these characters themselves, is how they can motivate somebody like me to perceive life and reality differently in order to achieve goals that to everybody else are unrealistic. I'm not rich from this, like, I'm not in a whole bunch of movies and stuff from this. All I know for an absolute fact that I have are the skills, abilities, and experiences that I have gained along the way pursuing this. And to me, that's everything. To me, that's everything. That's more than $1 million could ever be to me. That's more than being in countless movies could ever mean to me. Because I actually accomplished something that I was told time and time again was not realistic, was not possible. I was able to accomplish that. And I'm looking at myself and what I'm doing today, and I'm seeing the dream, the vision that I had, as a young boy, like reading these comics and watching the cartoons and watching anime and all that good stuff, like, watching movies, watching Jackie Chan, like I love Jackie Chan. Watching him be the closest thing in reality to what I was seeing in these panels, like, I was able to accomplish my own version of it that everybody said was impossible, and that I was afraid I never would, and that I was afraid every step of the way trying to accomplish. I was able to get there, get to here, and I'm still going. I'm still going up. I'm still getting better. I'm gaining more of an understanding of everything I've ever trained and everything that I'm physically capable of, despite setbacks, despite injuries, despite everything, like I'm getting to a point where it's weird. It's like my mind and my body are becoming more intertwined than they ever were before, and I'm able to make things a reality so much quicker, and I'm actually able to overcome that same fear that I still have much faster. I'm more trusting of myself. I'm also more aware of my limitations, and how close I can get to the edge of them, and I'm still trying to train and push past them in every single way that I can. But like, I'm somewhere special to me, and that all came from 21 years of straight work for it. Everything that I knew I could do, everything that I learned I could do, putting myself around people that have opinions that I feel confident that I can trust, to help me get an outside perspective on myself, from people who I feel understand, and people who I know from their expertise understand what they're looking at when they see me, learning from those people as much as I can, and continuing to be inspired, and continuing, regardless of if it's cool or not, to idolize these characters and try to emulate the aura. Trying to emulate the aura of these characters, trying to emulate the idea of these characters in real life. This was my conduit, and still is my conduit, and parkour, this movement that I do, and the way that I'm living my life is my real expression of it, and to accomplish and achieve what I have today, and be where I'm at today, it's worth overcoming all of that fear. It's worth, taking it, facing it head on, and refusing to quit, regardless of any challenge or obstacle that came into my path. Fear has and always will be a part of my practice. It can keep me safe. It can keep me grounded, but it can also be a hindrance. It can also be an obstacle to overcome, and I'll continue to overcome it for the rest of the time that I can practice, which I'm hoping is my whole life. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about it a little bit and just let everybody know, if you don't know about me, that I am very, very human. And I do experience fear, and I'm very conscious and thoughtful of all of the movements that I make and how I prepare for them, how I train for them, how I approach them. There is definitely risk involved. There's lots of risk sometimes, and there's a little bit of risk sometimes, but there's always risk involved, and I'm very aware of that. I am not unknowledgeable of that reality. And that is my admission to being a human being like everybody else. You know, I just choose not to live in fear and in subjugation to my fear, to my anxieties, to my insecurities, my shortcomings. Like I can't do that, because I'll never achieve what I want if I do that. Never. So, you know, yeah, just wanted to share that with y'all, and you know, I don't even know everything that I said. All I know is that I hope that it can be helpful to you on your journey, and can be helpful to you and motivating to you to pursue your best self, regardless of your insecurities and your anxieties and your fears. Like, you know, I believed that I could do it even when I didn't believe that I could do it. That was just something that was in me. And I hope that I can inspire that in you as well. And yeah, just expose to you guys the truth that I'm a regular person. You know, regular human. I bleed, I cry, all of that. All of that. So yeah. Hopefully that meant something to you. I've been Wavy, and I'm out of here.